is. Today, I didn't do that, but I should. Here is today's current chart. I usually like to always start with our current chart. It's just, I have friends. Okay, Bruce. People will look at YouTube. I know people have all texted and said, we're going to look at YouTube later.
People join your YouTube channel.
I should do more YouTube. It just takes time and it's something else to do. And it's busy around here. It's busy. So today is August 21st, 2022. And each fall we try to do an open house. And like I said, used to, this place was packed and then we didn't do it for the last 2 years because of COVID. And so I'm glad that we have what we have. And I hope everybody's healthy as a result of it. We were just talking to one of the gals who is a graduate who comes on Thursday nights. The way the school works, Midwest School of Astrology, it's three levels, 1, 2, and 3, and it's a 500-hour program over 3 years. And we are now at this moment, well, we're the only certified ESAR school, brick and mortar. There is one other one, but they're teaching specialty stuff and it's not a full curriculum. And I happen to be on their board, so I know them. But I don't go out and do you won't not see me on a lot of the national speaking circuits. My interest is meeting with people, teaching people to be real astrologers, and we are the only ones where you can get a full 3-year program, starting with history, going up. So then you leave and you branch out, and you pick your theme and you pick your specialty. And the people online are all part of the school. Diane's a graduate of the school.
Our tagline is, we have something for everyone. Whether you want to really be an astrologer, you want to learn.
And so, some people come to school for different reasons. Some people come because they want to know for themselves, the self-growth. Other people, Diane came to class for a long time. Used to teach in Madeira 100 years ago. No, 20-some years ago. Where they just want to learn, to understand your own chart and your own life. There are people who just want to do their family. They just want to do their own little community. And then there are those, Diana and Patricia's here, she just graduated, who want to be professional astrologers. There are not many of us around who are really well trained. So I always tell my students now, Patricia's coming to the conference next week. We go to Denver to the International ESAR conference, which ESAR is International Society of Astrological Research. It's an international organization. I'll be speaking twice. I've already prepared, so I've got my PowerPoints and my handouts, and I've already had to upload it all, so I'm ready. But people will be there from all over the world, and they'll run about 4 different tracks, which means you can take like your beginner basic. You can take financial is one. One will be spiritual. Another one is, oh, hi. Oh, Karen Taylor. Hi, Karen Taylor. Ended up flipping over. I saw her picture come. She's a graduate and she's in Chicago. So they'll have different tracks for different, the spiritual, the financial, the current levels. I will be speaking. Somebody asked me what I'll be speaking on. I'll be on the spiritual track on the Draconic. Draconic is a different chart. It's a spiritual chart, and it talks about past lives and your soul purpose and your instincts and what drives you. And so if any of you know Edgar Casey, or knew Edgar Casey, the medium that was so famous, and he did the healing, he would do some astrology reference, and they realized that he was actually reading the Draconic chart when they realized that he was using it, because they couldn't figure out what he was talking about. It didn't fit our modern tropical chart. So it's one of my loves, and so that's what I'll be talking about. But then they asked me, because so many people from out of the country are coming, would I speak on something else? So I'll also be speaking on lunations, eclipses, and the ingresses, which is when the sun enters Aries, 0 Aries in the spring. And oh, thanks, Karen. And so I'll be speaking on that because it was always on the current events track, which is what we're going to talk about today. So I already had a lot of interest in. So for those of you, I think everybody here knows that this is a natal chart, a birth chart. It's a snapshot of this. So right now it's current time. It's August 21st. It was 4:14 when I clicked it. So the sun today is in Leo and the moon is in Gemini is what that says. And what sign is on the horizon right now in Cincinnati is Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is a rather open, flowing, seeking, fun sign. So that's nice. So we have Sag rising. As we talk about what's coming up in the next few months, we'll be using this chart. But I have however we will be making some reference to the America chart. This is the chart of the United States, July 4th, 1776. I even made it pretty for you. How about that? I got software. You can see it in every shade, color, and variety. This is the US chart on July 4th, 1776. The 5:10 p.m. is the current most popular time. There have been a couple of charts on July 4th, 1776, but this is when the official signing was in Philadelphia. So then the sun was in Cancer, moon was in Aquarius, and Sagittarius was rising, which we have Sag rising now. And isn't it interesting that we're talking about the US chart? The reason I wanted to start out with this quickly today is that in the US chart, Pluto is our most outer planet. Now, let's go quick history. For 2,000 years, they saw there were 7 planets because Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, because that's all they could see. And so 7, and the 7 gods and goddesses, the 7 Elohim, all the 7s in mysticism that you hear is based on the 7 planets, visible planets. They knew about those long before they, developed any of their other mythology. So then in the 1700s, Uranus was discovered, and then 1800s, Neptune, and then in 1930, Pluto was discovered. Pluto's our most outer planet in a frozen belt called the Kuiper Belt. One of the modern symbols is a P. There's a European symbol that looks more like Neptune over here with a circle on its head. But we use so it's just nice. It's easier. There's no mysticism to it. It's P is easier to recognize when you have so many symbols with look-alike. Pluto takes the quote is 248 years to go around. However, Pluto's returning in the US chart at 246 years. So it's, again, everybody says, well, so in astrology, nothing is set in stone because we're talking cycles and rhythms and movement, and everything's moving all the time. So Pluto, since we were born on July 4th, 1776, has gone all the way around the orbit of the zodiac. And guess what? It's back to 27 Capricorn. So the United States, and astrologers have been talking about it for several years. Pluto's coming back. What's it mean? What does it mean to the United States? What does it mean to us as a people? Pluto, Pluto is in Capricorn now. It's between 26 degrees and 28 degrees. Now, if you have your natal chart and you looked, you'd say, do I have anything in those degrees? Is transiting Pluto hitting me? It might be. Pluto rules. Now, when they are discovered and they're observed, it's called an archetype. It's a personality. So Pluto rules power, depth, transformation, extremes. It rules focus. Where is natal Pluto in your chart? So those of you that know your chart know where Pluto is. Where should you be claiming your personal power and focusing? Because that's what Pluto's about. And now that Pluto is returning in the United States chart, we as a country are trying to figure out how to handle power. We're going through a transformation. You know, I don't know if you're aware of it, but if you stand watch and watch, our whole government is in transformation. How it works, the things that used to work are no longer working anymore. It's extremes. Pluto is, unfortunately, Pluto's also nuclear war. That was the first bomb, was when Pluto was discovered. So in 1930. So that's why it gives over explosions and intensity. And so let us hope that Pluto returning, that, you know, that we're not sucked into that, but we will have to make choices about it. We don't have to follow the raw data. You know, we can opt to make changes, but it is a very intense transformational time for our country. We are changing as a country. Our face is changing. So where is transiting Pluto calling for deep transformation in your own chart? Okay. Actually, this was prepared for a talk I'm going to give up in New York in September, but to astrologers. But there are the key words for Pluto, and we are in the Pluto return. Back in January of 2020, right when COVID came in, we had Saturn. It takes 29 years to go around, and it caught up with Pluto in Capricorn, and it triggered the whole country. I mean, let's face it. It became a major transformation of how we do everything. You go back before 2020 and you think of how things were done in 2019 and how they're being done now, and they're very different. How you shop, how you use technology, how you socialize, how you handle your money. Pluto's in the second house in the United States chart, and our whole money system. I mean, I had a gal this week, and she was older. I mean, she wasn't one of the young people. Wouldn't have surprised me. She was older, and I said, "Well, do you want to give me a credit card?" She said, "Well, can't I just Venmo you?" I said, "Well, yeah, you can. You can Venmo me." But most older people are like, "I don't know what Venmo is, and I don't know how to do it." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just here. Never mind. Oh, gone." I'm like, "Oh, cool, man." She had it down. She knew how to do it. She had her own account. Gone.
They'd already sent her the link. So that helped.
Oh, did you? I didn't know that. She's like, "Yeah, let me Venmo you." I'm like, "Okay." I didn't know Mindy was prompting her from the back. There you go. Mindy wasn't here, so I didn't know what was going on there. But this Saturn Pluto has brought major, and it started in 2020. Now, what's going to happen in the next 6 months? Pluto has been in Capricorn for 18 years, and next March, Pluto will enter Aquarius in March. And Saturn takes only 29 years to go around, but when it changes sign every 2.5 years, it makes a big difference, because Saturn is structure and government and rules and tradition and career and work and business. Saturn is concrete. It's all of our earthly concrete. So Pluto's going to change sign, and Saturn's going into Pisces the same month. March, we will see a lot of the Saturn and Pluto that started back in 2020 coming more to completion as to forming up as to what the new rules are going to be. You know, a lot of companies have said, "Oh, we want you to come back." Now, come March, they may say, "No, we're just shutting down some of these offices. It's cheaper." It'll be interesting, but we're not. My point is, we're not there yet. You know, we have not arrived. Back, and I left this in, but back in July, well, today's only the 21st. But from July 31st to August 15th, which is the last few weeks, we had Uranus, North Node, and Mars all conjunct in Taurus. And it's been intense. And Mars is fire energy, it's war energy. If you go back and think about any of the mythology, Mars is the warrior. He was the fighter. He rules the police, he rules the military, he rules, you know, the Indian tribes. I mean, they were warriors. They were Mars. So the Mars was with Uranus North Node. Now Uranus has an 84-year cycle, and the node has a 19-year cycle. So for them to come together is not unusual, and I'll tell you how often that happens. But then Mars shows up. Mars has a 2-year orbit. But for Mars to come in right while they're together, we ended up with a glob of energy in Taurus. And there have been a lot of accidents, fires, aggression, unexpected fighting, unexpected events in the last, plane crash. A lot of,
Look at the drone hit on the Al Qaeda guy. That came out of nowhere. We didn't know.
what?
Well, they took out that Al Qaeda guy with a drone on his balcony.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just recently?
Yeah, the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know,
There was a plane crash
if my
in Florida.
if my students don't tell me
It was a small plane.
for 4 years,
Yeah.
and then see Diane said they'd been working on that for 4 years. But when the Mars Uranus North Node all came together,
That's when it came together.
and that's when the energy was there. And yeah, well, and then they had, they don't realize, but what they had was the universal energy, coming together to make it powerful enough to happen. And of course, Mars was the tightest between the 1st and the 7th, but Mars represents fire energy. And we've had some of the biggest forest fires we've had in the last month. Uranus is the planet of change and destiny, and it is in Taurus. It was involved in that. But we're going to, yes.
I was just saying, those fires are global because they have France.
Yes. The fires are global because it's France, it's all of it, it's Europe, Italy. India's heat was so hot that the birds were dropping out of the sky from dehydration. They said it was raining birds in India from dehydration. And there's a forest fire in Hawaii on the Big Island. I'm just telling you, this Mars, we always have Mars. I mean, Mars is moving all the time. It's not like it doesn't. But when it connects with other things, such as Uranus, which is really a powerhouse, it tied up with other things. It just went boom. So Mars was really ignited. So what we got was an intensification. So now on Friday, Mars had been in Taurus. Mars has a 2-year orbit. Every planet has a different cycle around the sun. I mean, the sun, we see the sun going around us in a year. It's really us going around the sun. I know that. But the moon goes around us in a month, 27 and a half days. Mercury and Venus, we see traveling with the sun from our perspective. We study what you call geocentric astrology, Earth-based. Mars, outside our orbit, is a 2-year orbit. And then Jupiter is 12 years. And then Saturn is 29 years. Uranus is 84 years. Neptune's 165 years. And Pluto's 248. So that's their timing. You don't expect you to remember them. Carol doesn't. So Mars is the planet, remember? Mars rules there. It rules fire. It rules igniting. It rules, the warrior. Well, Mars has been in Taurus. This interesting quote was here. The last time Uranus was conjunct the North Node in Taurus was in 1855, and it was a historical time of political crisis over values. Our friends are here. I said, something creeping around the kitchen. So that's going on. And we do have, Uranus is with the North Node. And so that was the talk I did for class. But what we're going to talk about is Mars coming into Gemini. And Friday, it left Taurus and it came into Gemini. Now, Mars usually zips through a sign about every 6 weeks. 6 weeks to 2 months, right? Zip, gone. Guess what? It's gonna retrograde station. It's planets don't really go backward, but they slow down, and when they do, it's called retrogradation, and so that appears to be going backward. It changes the way the planet behaves. So over the next, what you want to know is that starting really in October, it will go retrograde, but Mars is already in Gemini. And so we're going to start seeing this fighting in communication, because Gemini is the communication words. It will also activate communication. If you've been trying to get some communication, across, that you're trying to make a point, it's been in Taurus for the last 6 weeks, I guess. 2 months, I guess. Taurus is Earth sign. It's a fixed Earth sign. And so it has slowed things down. So if you're wanting things to go fast, and here Mars is the speedy one, and it's in Taurus, the Earth sign, it's like plodding along, right? So now Mars, as of Friday, is moving into Gemini, the communication sign. Talk, communicate, change, variety. So you're going to find communications much easier, which is a blessing. Now,
Maybe cyber attack.
It could, because Mars is the warrior, and there could be cyber attacks under Mars and Gemini. I mean, absolutely.
Media attacks would be a very big possibility.
Yeah. So do watch your media with Mars. Now, normally Mars would be gone from there in 2 months. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, Mars came into Gemini, moved on. It's going to be in Cancer. However, Mars, and so Mars goes retrograde on October 31st. Now, as of yesterday, it's in Gemini. So when I look at this chart, and this says Mars is in Gemini. Oh, that's the US chart. I'm like, what? Mars is in Gemini in the US chart too, by the way. We natally have Mars in Gemini, so we go to war with communication. That's our gig. Mars, here's Mars. It just went into 0 degrees. There's 30 degrees in the sign. So you can see that Mars just entered Gemini. So, but on October 31st, it will go retrograde. It's going to slow down, and then it will not go direct until mid-January. So for 3 months, it will be retrograde. What?
At the same time, Saturn and Pluto change signs.
They change sign in March.
And in a couple of months.
And a couple of months later, I know. But Mars, Mars will be leaving and going into Cancer probably in March. So 3 months, but the point is, instead of 6 weeks, Mars is going to be in Gemini for 6 months. We are going to have this whole fight. So be careful, you may be delivering Mars's arrows too, is seeing, So be careful how you direct and land your communication, because it'll bite you in the butt, I promise. Mars has a sharp point. So it's starting, and it's just starting. Like I said, yesterday and today we are at 0. So, but it's going to move up, come back. So it's going to be in Gemini quite a while. Are there any Geminis in the room? If you are a Gemini, you're going to feel it more because it's your sun sign. So the Geminis will be more aware of it, even because they may get impatient and impulsive, which are Mars words. So if you know any Geminis, you're like, oh, we have a little Mars, action going on there. We have eclipses every 6 months, and the fall eclipses this year are at the end of October, and then November 11th. I think it's October 30th, November 11th, something like that. 2 Scorpio, 16 Taurus are the degrees for those of you who know astrology and know your charts. These eclipses are hitting, though, and Mars is going retrograde at the time of the midterms. So we have to look at that. And we have to say we have an awful lot of fighting Mars and Gemini, verbal attacking, verbal pointedness. Rhetoric is a good word. During the election. So Saturn and Pluto. So when I go back over here to the US chart, so here is our current transits. And you'll see that Mars is going to go up here in Gemini and back. But the eclipses will be at 2 Scorpio and then 16 Taurus in the fall. So the point is, if those of you Taurus Scorpio people, who are you in the room? Yeah, we got some Taurus Scorpios. The eclipse, during the eclipse seasons, because you get them for about 18 months, every 9 years in your 2 signs, Taurus Scorpio is a pairing. And so that's where the eclipses are. Next year, we'll move into the cardinals. We'll move into Aries, Libra. And that's when that group will get a bigger punch every time anything happens. They get delivered with, 3 sticks of dynamite, not 1. So when they get charged with action. So what do I see for the fall? When we go back to this October deal, and I'm like, this whole, right, well, the first one is really, here it is. I should have put them together. When we're coming between October, when we go into retrograde and we go into the eclipse period to March, I am telling you that we're going to see a change of structure and regime in February, March next year. Because Pluto's changing signs, Saturn's changing signs, everything's realigning. And we have, and I mentioned to you, it's in another site, but Saturn and Uranus are going to square, and I've been talking in October. And if you've listened to any of the YouTubes I've done or listened to any of the talks, I talked about it. Even when COVID started and it got so bad, and it was Saturn square Uranus, well, we get our last 4th squaring of it in October, the first half of October. And so that's when Mars is there and Mars is going retrograde. I expect there to be disruption in the first half of October. Saturn is structure and Uranus is change. It's electrical. And so they're squaring. And we've been having it. We've been in this change, chaos stuff. But now Mars is going to be in there doing something, active as well. And Mars is action. So now we've got a fire, under the wood bundle. So that's what I'm expecting. October, I expect the elections to be a mess. I've been saying that because of the Saturn-Uranus square.
Well, yeah, and the lunar eclipse is on our midterm election day.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, is it?
And Uranus is conjunct that lunar eclipse.
Yes, Uranus
Surprise.
I knew that Uranus, a planet of change and excitement, is on that eclipse.
Yeah.
Well, there's about 5 or 6 things, and those of you who are just listening for context, not astrology info, I got both in the room, so I'm trying to address both. But expect Uranus is unexpected, chaotic change, and guess what? Uranus goes. Where's it go direct? Did I hear it? It goes direct in January. I tried to say it was in my notes. Because Uranus has been retrograde. They all retrograde every year. Mars doesn't. It only retrogrades every 1.5 years, 2 years. But Uranus does. And so, but it's going direct. And when they shift and go direct, that's when they are at their greatest power. It's called stationing. So when they are either going retrograde or they're going direct, they are what you call stalled for a few days on that degree. And they get very, very intense. It's like right when the pot's, boiling over, and you hold on. That's that retrograde direct posture. So Uranus will go direct in January. Bottom line, between October and March, it's going to be pretty unbalanced. But I do watch between mid-October and the end of January. Watch your communication, watch your delivery, because it can come out sharper than Mars. The warrior with the spear. It can come out sharper than you planned it. Mars in Taurus was not doing that. It was slower to respond. Mars in Gemini is. Okay, that's what I've got to say. Any questions? Huh?
Okay.
A call to action. Your call to action is to be conscious that the world is truly in change. We are changing our face and our whole style, and it is real. I was driving, and I thought, you know what? It's always been this way, but it's much more intense. You know, if your parents were traditionalists, then you have an unusual relationship. If your parents didn't make it, then you want tradition. I mean, everybody's going to extremes. And it's even in our government. You know, if we did it this way, now we're going to do it that way. This pendulum is swinging. And so is it Pluto? But just be aware that change is the name of the game for the next 6 months. So you stay versatile. I don't know if anybody water skis, but you learn to survive on water skis. You have to learn to stay on top of the water. You know, you got to be. So that's what you're going to have to do. We need to be versatile. We need to be flexible. And of course, always try to go the extra mile and give people the extra credit. I am telling you that there are many people who just can't handle this energy. People who are not as spiritually awake are frantic. They're frantic, afraid. And so give them extra room, give them extra space to recognize that this is not an easy, because everybody, this isn't just the US. I mean, yes, we're in our Pluto return, but the whole world has this Mars, Uranus, Saturn, Uranus square going on. The whole world's feeling it, and you're seeing it. And you're seeing, you will see government structures change all over the world, and particularly over the next 6 months. If astrology does its job, which is to clean house. It's time for new. Out with the old and in with the new. Anybody got any questions, comments, words? Nothing. Anybody out there? Hello, hello. Yeah, everybody's so quiet. Let me go back and look at the transits.
Sure, Mars is in Gemini.
We just got there.
The moon's in Gemini too. Where are my chatty Cathys?
It's a lot to absorb.
How do I feel about adjusting to change, Pam? Since I believe we truly are, and I truly do believe we're moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius now. I mean, I think this 5-year period, and I do truly believe change can be good. It doesn't have to be bad. It's just you have to allow it. If you try to hold back the water, it usually gets you in trouble. So, so to me, we have to change. Change is coming. I believe that we all committed to be on the planet during this time, to be part of this transition, to be in it, to experience this. But I promise you that by 2025, when a whole bunch of things shift, there are a lot of planets shifting in 2025, a lot of big patterns coming up. We will have observed, looking back from 2020 to 2025, you're like, whoa, it'd be a good book, you know what I mean? Because everything will be different. Everything. Remember the comic books when Dick Tracy used to talk to people on his phone, on his wristwatch, and everybody laughed about that? My phone rings now. I'm down there now, and I'm like, hello? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is Dick Tracy. What can I do for you? You know, I'm like, I'm answering my phone on my wristwatch. It's an iPhone, And if I'm in the other room, it's great. I don't have to go running for the phone. Answer it. So those were dreams. Well, guess what? Many more of them are coming into play. And I'll tell you something, just to close. I've always just done tropical, geocentric, Placidus astrology. I have been reading some helio books, the heliocentric astrology, because I think I'm not going to give up because this is about our personality and who we are and how we grow. And that's my biggest interest. How do we be better people while we're breathing on this planet? That's my theme. But I think that the heliocentric chart, which is a different chart, may tell us where we fit in the universe. And pretty soon, I think we're going to have to become conscious of that. Because I think that our little world, is getting ready to expand. They're prepping us for other life in other places. I mean, they're priming the pump constantly now. If you're watching, about every 3 to 6 months, they come out with, we found another planet. There could be life there. There may be life forms that have been on, they're starting to, they've known it for 50 years. Do I worry about the state of Mother Earth? That's a good question, Karen, except Mother Earth has been around 50,000 billion years, and she can take care of herself. She may throw us off her back, but I mean, we may blow up the atmosphere and gum up the works, and we may not be able to stay, but I bet you she carries right on. I got faith in her. I think Mother Earth will do just fine. We may destroy ourselves, but we may destroy ourselves. I don't think we're going to destroy Mother Earth. I think she'll destroy us first, if we keep it up. It's happened before, they've found civilizations. We know that they've come and gone. So, okay. Karen's typing. Anything else? Yes, it has. Venus and Mars. Well, we may have come from Venus and Mars. I'm not sure. We're not looking for another planet to go to when we blow up this one. I think they're working awful hard on it right now, quite frankly.
Talk about Mars.
Yeah, well, they're talking, but they're feeding it to us in pieces so that people don't get frightened, is what they're doing. Oh, they're working on it, finding ways, how to have satellites and how to survive in space. Make no mistake, they're doing it. Every once in a while you catch, blurbs and you're like, there. But I love it. They drop it like breadcrumbs, in the woods. They're prepping us, it's like, follow me, you're just getting a little more all the time. So that's what's happening. Okay. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoy this. Don't get wigged out about this fall. Just stay flexible and don't get into the Mars fight. When you see the fire flying, you're like, just step to the side, keep your mouth shut. My ex-husband, before he died, he used to say, even a fish wouldn't get caught if he'd keep his mouth shut. That was his philosophy. So, most of you, I will see you probably in our Thursday night class coming up. I don't know when we get back, but anyway, I will be talking about Denver when I get back in Thursday night, which is the practical astrology. We'll be talking about all the things that the people from all these different countries are studying. That'll be fun. They're all studying something different. So they'll get off on a toot, and huh? I am. Carolyn Ringstaff was typing. Okay, I thought she had a question. We'll turn off.